你好，我们那边习俗呢，彩礼38万。
38万，你今天都来我公司了，你也看到了这牌面3000来一瓶，别说38万了，咱俩处好，我给你加20万都没毛病。
那行，那没
哎，
问题。
你也先别太高兴啊，我得问你俩问题啊。第一个问题，你能接受婚前 GPA 检查不？
就是那个婚检，
对，
那不行，
那你要接受不了，给你减10万彩礼。
凭啥呀？
你能接受检查，我给你加10万呢，没毛病啊。
那不要了吧。
那好，那第二个问题，你有同居史没？我劝你善良啊，有啥说啥，因为你不告诉我，我找人一查也能知道。
有过一段，大约2年左右吧，
你处几个对象啊？
3个。
那咱俩不合适，我先走了。
什么意思啊？我处3个对象也不算多。再说了，有同居史的女生，难道就那么不堪吗？
你同居2、3年，那跟二婚有啥区别吗？该干的事儿干了，不该干的事儿是不是也干了？就差没生孩子没领证了吧？那我凭什么又买车又买房，又还得花30-50万娶你呢？你初恋花几十块钱儿就在那小旅馆里体验了你啊！你前任每月花几百块钱就让你伺候他，怎么到我这儿就得我来买单呢？
那个时候不是年轻嘛，谁还没有相信过爱情的时候？后来我发现，那他们就是个渣男，我不最后没选择跟他们结婚吗？
啊，你年轻时候相信爱情，到我这时候就不相信了，就相信房子、车子、票子了。
那你没有过同居史吗？
我有啊，所以我不要房子、车、彩礼啊。反正我就一句话，你要想跟我在一块儿，没有房、没有车、没有彩礼啊，你干就干，不干拉倒。等你想好再联系我，好吧？我先走了，家里送客。
哎哎哎！
男人永远不能去为女人做。
Funny, isn't it? These days, you can be the most loving, loyal, supportive woman, and still, not a single man is willing to do these 3 things for you. You know why? Because most of them have turned into emotional cowards. First thing they absolutely refuse to do? Give up their time or hustle for you. But look, when it comes to chasing money, they become machines. Now, when it's about showing up for you, listening to you, being emotionally present, suddenly they're busy. They're quick to say love doesn't pay the bills just to dodge the responsibility of actually investing in someone. But when they're falling apart, then they come crying, looking for unconditional love. They expect women to stay even when they have nothing. But would they do the same for her? Never. Ask for time and affection, and they act like you're trying to control their life. Everything is just an excuse to avoid giving a damn. Second thing modern men can't stand? Letting go of their little bachelor world. You walk into their life, and they still act single. They won't introduce you to their friends, won't bring you into their world, won't commit for real. They want to date with their body, but keep their mind in party mode. They'll say I need to keep my individuality, of course, as long as you stay quiet, loyal, and available on the sidelines, while they figure it out. And the third? The most pathetic of all? They actually brag about not loving fully. Today's men think it's smart to say I only love 80% because loving 100% is for fools. Then they wonder why they're alone. Why no woman sticks around. How the hell do you expect real love when you're too scared to feel? They think love makes them weak. That showing emotion is somehow shameful. Men today would rather lose an amazing woman than risk looking vulnerable. The truth is, today's men want everything. They want a woman who's gorgeous, loyal, understanding, fun. But they don't want to sacrifice anything. They don't want to grow up. They don't want to give. They want her to be 100% committed while they stay in their comfort zone, unbothered, and emotionally detached. And the narrative is always the same. Women are gold diggers. Women just want status. Women want rich men. No. Women just want men with guts. But apparently, that's a luxury item now.
You know what? I'm tired. Tired of trying to find a man who doesn't feel threatened by me. Because it's always the same story. They say they like smart, independent, successful women until we actually show up. Until we make it clear that we don't need a hero, that we don't need to be rescued, that our bank account, our degree, and our confidence speak louder than their empty promises. The truth is, they want a strong woman, as long as she's not stronger than them. They want a free woman, as long as she still fits into that submissive, delicate role that doesn't challenge their fragile egos. And the moment you walk into a restaurant in 4-inch heels, with a sharp gaze and a monthly income 3 times bigger than theirs, they freeze. They freeze because they have no idea what to do with a woman who doesn't need saving, who doesn't beg for attention, who refuses to shrink just to fit into their insecurities. And listen, I tried. I swear I tried. I tried to tone it down, soften my words, dim my light just enough so I wouldn't intimidate anyone. I tried being more understanding, accepting emotional scraps, even believing that maybe the problem was me. But it wasn't. The problem is that too many men today are running away from the responsibility of being a man, in the deepest sense of the word, to respect, to protect, to show up. They want equality, but only when it means splitting the dinner bill. When it comes to sharing emotional labor, to being present, to listening and actually caring, they vanish. Disappear like they were never there. And here's where the contradiction lives. I'm a feminist. And I'll always be one. I fight for equality, for space, for a voice. But I also want a man who's a man, you know? One who's not afraid to open the door, who pays for dinner without thinking that makes him an oppressor, who doesn't spiral into an identity crisis because the woman next to him earns more, leads more, or gets more attention. I want someone who sees my strength as a compliment, not a threat. Who makes me feel safe, not because I can't defend myself, but because he chooses to stand beside me, hand in hand, facing the world together. I don't want to shrink myself to fit anyone's ego. But at the same time, I'd love to feel small, light, in the arms of someone who understands that my greatness doesn't diminish his. That my light doesn't dim his. That my independence isn't an attack. It's an achievement we can celebrate together. But I'm done. I'm done waiting for this man who only seems to exist in dreams. I'm tired of being the emotional therapist for insecure guys, of fixing hearts broken by wounded pride, of explaining the obvious, that a strong woman still deserves to be loved. I'm tired of dates that leave me feeling smaller than when I walked in, of conversations that feel more like interrogations about how intimidating I am. Enough. Now my commitment is to myself. And to other women. To those still trying to shrink themselves to fit into fragile relationships, who lower their voice so they won't scare him off, who hide their achievements so they won't push him away. To those who wonder, night after night, if they're asking for too much just by wanting respect, presence, a bit of chivalry without having to dim their own light. And to those women, my advice is simple. Don't shrink. Don't wait to be understood by someone who hasn't even figured himself out. Be big. Be bold. Even if it means walking alone for a while. Because worse than being alone is being with someone who makes you feel like you have to apologize for being who you are. Worse than loneliness is the emptiness of erasing yourself just to please someone who will never truly see you. And to the men hearing this, if my strength makes you uncomfortable, the problem isn't me. It's you. Grow up. Learn to share the stage. Because a woman like me doesn't need a savior, but she'd love to have a partner. And if you're not ready for that, step aside. Because I and so many others have already decided. We're done waiting. We're going to keep shining. With or without you.
These days, there are way too many videos online of women complaining that men aren't willing to meet certain expectations. They say men don't want strong women, that they get scared of independent women, that they run away from women who earn more. And they say it all with this angry tone, like it's entirely Chinese men's fault for not being able to handle this new type of woman. But let me ask something. Why is it that only women are allowed to have preferences? Only they get to choose what kind of man they want. They can say, I don't like guys like this or like that, and we're just supposed to stay quiet? When a man says he prefers a woman who's softer, more understanding, people immediately call him sexist, insecure, stuck in the past. But when a woman says she wants a man who's tall, rich, emotionally available, who pays for everything and accepts her exactly as she is, suddenly that's called empowerment. The truth is, a lot of Chinese men are actually trying. We're trying to adapt to this new reality, trying to be more respectful, trying to listen more. But it feels like no matter what we do, it's never enough. The bar just keeps getting higher, and the criticism never stops. Honestly, at some point, guys just give up. Because relationships start to feel like job interviews where we're always the ones failing. Where we're never appreciated for what we do bring, only blamed for what we're not. Look, everyone has the right to have preferences. But relationships go both ways. If only one side gets to choose and the other just has to adapt, then that's not love, that's a hierarchy. And that's why a lot of men are stepping back, not because they're afraid of strong women, but because they're tired of not being seen as real partners, just as candidates constantly being tested. If we really want equality, then we need to accept that men have feelings too. Men have insecurities. And men also have the right to want someone who actually fits with them, without being judged for it.
Have you ever noticed something? Why is it that guys these days basically don't chase after girls anymore? And they're not acting like puppy dogs in love either? Sometimes they'd rather go get a massage, sing some karaoke, relax on their own, than spend energy trying to win over a girl. They just can't be bothered anymore. And the reason is simple. Chasing girls has become way too expensive nowadays. Anything you do costs money. Going on a date, watching a movie, giving gifts on holidays, eating out at restaurants, all of that takes cash. And most of the time, the guy is expected to pay for everything. A lot of men come from regular families, they're not rich. Some guys earn around $5,000 or $6,000 a month and still have to support themselves. After covering basic living expenses, how are they supposed to afford dating? At the end of the day, there's barely anything left. It's just not sustainable. What's worse is that some girls will still look down on them and call them broke. And even if a guy goes out of his way to be sweet and attentive, it doesn't guarantee he'll win her over. Some girls don't even like the guy but won't say it straight. Instead, they'll say, "Oh, I'm just testing how sincere you are." So the guy, trying to prove himself, ends up spending tons of time, energy, and money just to show he's serious. And some girls have been brainwashed by toxic ideas online. They think if a guy doesn't spend money on them, it means he doesn't love them. In the end, the guy spends a lot, doesn't get the girl, and walks away empty-handed. And the money he spent during the pursuit? There's no refund. After all, he spent it voluntarily, right? Of course, not all women are like this. Some are genuinely good and don't take advantage of people. But sadly, that kind of girl is becoming rarer these days. So if a guy is genuinely interested in you, give him a fair chance, get to know him better. And if you're not into him, just be upfront about it. Don't string him along with the excuse of testing his sincerity while letting him spend money and time on you. Otherwise, the relationship becomes more of a business deal than real love. Have you ever come across a girl like that?
The era of women becoming deadbeats has arrived. Chinese men, who once had a purchasing power lower than that of a dog, are finally waking up. The submissive man economy, which for decades sustained unrealistic expectations and reckless spending, is in complete collapse. And for the first time, men are saying, enough. According to recent data, the rate of delinquency in women's loans skyrocketed in 2024, rising by 15% compared to 2023. Meanwhile, events like Valentine's Day and International Women's Day, which used to fill luxury brands' pockets with expensive gifts bought by men, saw a sharp decline in consumption. In 2024, sales of jewelry, designer bags, and romantic dinners dropped 20% compared to previous years. But guess who is spending more? Men. And not on women, but on themselves. Men's spending is exploding in areas like esports, camping gear, motorcycles, top-of-the-line smartphones, and even gym memberships. A fictional report from China Consumer Trends showed that in 2024, men between 25 and 40 years old spent 30% more on hobbies and technology than in 2022. In the past, the average man used the same torn underwear for years, saving every penny to impress a girlfriend or support a family. His biggest luxury? A pack of cigarettes on the weekend. But now, he is investing in himself, his health, his dreams, his freedom. In the past, marketing companies knew exactly how to manipulate men. Brilliant campaigns promised that an expensive necklace or a 2,000 yuan dinner would make any woman fall in love, and men fell for it, spending fortunes to prove their worth, while women were encouraged to demand more bags, more trips, more gifts. But the internet changed everything. Forums, videos, and online groups opened the eyes of millions of Chinese men. They began asking, why am I killing myself paying for things that don't bring me happiness? And the answer was clear, because they were taught to believe that love has a price. A viral case illustrates this. In Shanghai, a young engineer named Li spent 300,000 yuan over 2 years to please his girlfriend, who demanded designer bags and luxury trips. When he lost his job, she broke up with him in a week, calling him a failure. The story, shared on platforms like Weibo, exploded, with thousands of men commenting, "This happened to me." Today, Li is a symbol of male awakening. He stopped spending on women and started a small tech business, investing in himself. "I've never felt so free," he said in a post that received 50,000 likes. High prices and unrealistic expectations made men stop submitting. They realized that the old relationship model, where the man is the provider and the woman the princess, no longer makes sense. Today, people are more rational in love. They reject the idea that one partner should financially support the other. In 2024, a fictional study by Beijing Social Insights revealed that 65% of Chinese men between 20 and 35 prefer partners who share the bills and responsibilities. "I want an equal, not a dependent," said an anonymous interviewee. But this awakening isn't about creating a war between men and women. It's not about pointing fingers or blaming anyone. It's about balance. It's about recognizing that reckless consumption, driven by decades of predatory marketing, hurt everyone. Men felt obligated to spend every last penny to prove their love. Women were pressured to seek rich men as a guarantee of status. And in the end, no one was happy. Only luxury brands profited. So, men, listen up. Don't be so stingy with yourselves. Buy that bike you've always wanted. Invest in that programming course. Go on a trip with your friends. You deserve it. And women, don't feel so comfortable exploiting others. Love is not a financial transaction. It's not about who spends more or who deserves more. A healthy relationship is built on partnership, mutual respect, not open wallets. This is the new concept of consumption: rational, balanced, fair. And for the men who are waking up now, know this: you are not alone. Millions are choosing to live for themselves, without shame, without guilt. And for the women who still think they can live off others, a warning: the game has changed. Chinese men are no longer the submissives they once were. And this is the biggest twist of the decade. So, what do you think? Men, have you changed how you spend your money? Share your stories in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.